Yeah, like, no, girl, why don't you service men? Why only do you just help women? Oh,
Mm,
you have daddy issues. Okay, well, let's dig into that
mercy.
because now you're leaving money on the table because you won't service men in your coaching business. Oh, I only help women. I'm here for the women. Woman power. Meanwhile, you have leadership issues and daddy issues, and we
Mm.
need to dig into that so that you stop leaving money on the table.
This is episode 19 of What's Been Better. This week, we're talking about forgiveness and healing. How can we build better relationships, successful businesses, or even write helpful laws if we haven't forgiven ourselves, others, or actually healed? If you've been here before, you know we cuss. And if you're new here, please get used to how we emphasize. Today, we're joined by Arletha, better known as Coach Brown, a prophetic business coach in Florida. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. How you
Well,
ladies doing today?
good.
Good, good.
Good.
Before we begin, like, share, subscribe, do something with this episode, but don't keep it for yourself. We love positive reviews, and that helps other people find us. Thanks.
Hey, y'all. Hey.
Hi.
Hello.
Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for reaching out to us. We love when people get in contact with us. We have been saying any and everybody is welcome, so we appreciate you for reaching
No,
out
no,
to
no.
us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate being on you guys' platform. I don't take it lightly. A lot of times they say we can't work together, but here we are.
Right,
Here we are.
right.
Girl. Yeah. Yeah, so we have to put an end to that kind of stereotypical,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
cliche stuff. You
Yep.
know, we can't work
Yeah.
together. Are you serious? Get the fuck out of
Yeah.
here with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
that's some
we're
bullshit.
catty and we can't have balance or be healed. No, this is what we look like healed because we put the time in. We absolutely
Exactly.
can work together.
Yes.
Exactly, exactly,
Yeah, we
exactly.
definitely got to put an end to these myths right now. Right now.
Right,
Hmm.
right.
Yeah.
So true.
Well, let's get started, Lori. Start us off.
Well, so Arletha, you've heard our episode, so you know we start out with what's been better, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask you first, and then I'll ask Sylvia what's been better. So, what's been better, Miss Arletha?
For me, what's been better is giving my son grace.
Okay.
It is showing me how to let go and
Okay.
teaching him how to let go.
Mhm.
Because in my childhood in the African American community, I think a lot of time we misuse that word discipline as parents,
Mhm.
and we don't teach our kids to let go by not giving them grace.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so a lot of times we're raised what that mom was mad and what she did was called discipline, but she was really mad at what
Mhm.
you did. Instead of appropriating it the right way and actually talking or finding out that that was the type of kid you could talk to and not
Yeah.
smack or yell at,
Yes.
and teaching them grace that they can let things go.
Mm-hmm.
They did it a different way. And that's no
Yeah.
disrespect to them because they were raised that way, it became a
Mhm.
cycle, but for me, I'm seeing that when I show him grace in a lot of things and just talking some things out, I'm teaching him what I didn't learn, and that was the letting things go,
Mhm.
and
I
giving the
love
grace that
that.
I need.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Listen, I can unpack that right now. Oh my, I got it's so. Oh my goodness, when people start saying certain things, I got instantly 1,000 questions start to come up. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
how did you get there? Like how did that start for you? But before we even go there, I want to know, Sylvia, what's been better for you?
Oh, what's been better? Oh, so it was Drew's birthday yesterday. So getting to spend
Yeah.
time with him, getting to spend time with you and
Happy
Tommy last
birthday.
night. That was a good time. Thank you.
Yes.
It was good to just get out, see the city, do things.
Mhm.
We went all over yesterday. It was jam packed. So doing that, just experiencing life. That's been
Yeah.
good. That's been better.
Lovely. Lovely.
What about you? What's been better?
Um. So life, right? Like life
Yeah.
is good. Um, I think I'm coming into myself. There are many things that I know I need to do, and sometimes I'm like feeling overwhelmed. And when that feeling of overwhelm comes, I like freeze. I don't
Hmm.
do shit, you know.
Right.
But I'm coming into the understanding that I have a greater work to do.
Mhm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
like this podcast is this greater work, and
Yes.
Yes.
I want to give it all I got. And so, and there are a couple of things that I want to add to this. And so, I'm really thankful for that downloading that I'm getting
Mm-hmm.
from, I feel like, my higher power. And so, I just want to really be in a position to continue to grow, right,
Right.
Mhm.
and learn and be. I feel more connection with my children. That's been better. I'm very, very thankful for that because they're
Mm-hmm.
hitting me up more. Just like last night, when my son hit us up. I was like, oh, okay, good,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So that's better. Yeah.
Okay. And some
Awesome.
things are coming, y'all. Just stick with us. Some things are
Mhm.
coming. So
Yeah.
we are very excited. We are in the planning stages, but some things are coming. So
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
well, let's get started on this. Like Arletha hit us up, Coach Brown hit us up with some good ideas on what we could cover, and we love that. Please send us topics that you want to cover or that you want to come on and talk to us. Always, you can send us an email, questions@what'sbeenbetter.com. Send us a DM if you know either of us personally. Text us, send us any kind of message. But we love these kinds of topics. And one of the ones that you wanted to talk about was forgiveness and healing because you are a business coach. Like, how are you going to have this wonderful business? How are you going to have this life if you have not healed?
You're
So
not.
we've been talking about this for the last 2 weeks now, right, Lori?
Mm-hmm.
Talked about letting
Yes.
go. We
Yep.
talked
Yeah.
about showing up. Now we're
Mhm.
on to
Mhm.
healing and forgiveness. So
Awesome. Awesome.
yeah.
Mm,
So why was
yeah.
that on you to have as a topic?
That's what I do in my coaching. That's a
Mm-hmm.
part of the
Okay.
process that we go through. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people are starting businesses and they're looking at the numbers, but when they go home, they're not happy. The suicide rates for entrepreneurs are crazy because a lot
Mm,
of people are looking at the dollar, they're looking at the numbers for the social media, they're looking at how many clients they're getting in, and they're not looking at who they're actually helping or healing along the way. And so a lot of people are going into entrepreneurship broken, bleeding, and now they're bleeding on their clients because they're not
Mm-hmm.
taking that step that has to be taken. I solely and wholeheartedly believe that when you're an entrepreneur, excuse me, it's because you're called to that.
Mm-hmm.
mhm,
And then you need to find out if you're called to that because right now the business is saturated, and in a year or two all that's going to be weeded out because you're going to see who was really made for it, who was really built for it, and who was really called to it. And part of that process is coming in healed so that you're doing the work that you were called to. And that doesn't matter what business you're in as an entrepreneur. You could be selling cakes, you could be um, making music, you could be in any genre. As an entrepreneur, you need to have healing and forgiveness um, compacted inside of you. You need to live with it inside of you. So whenever you have a client that's not lovable, you can still do the job. You're
Mm.
not
I
always going
love
to have
that.
an awesome client who's happy and they're ready, and you sometimes you're going to have to dig with that
Mm-hmm.
client.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you're going to have to put a smile on even though they're getting on your nerves. But that's still your client. You're still called to them. So figuring all that out is first figuring you out and stepping into the game healed, whole, and with forgiveness and ready.
I
That
love that.
is, oh my
I
God.
love that.
Whew. So
Right?
how did that's loaded is packed, but it's so true.
Mhm.
I don't think many people understand that. I think
Yeah,
they are, like you said, Coach Brown, they're looking at the money and how
right.
much they can make, and they get excited about that. And they don't realize that they have issues that haven't been, addressed, they haven't dealt with it, hadn't unpacked
Hmm.
it. And it starts, like you said, it's bleeding out and it bleeds
Hmm.
on to their client. I love that. So,
But
Mhm.
how did you get started in this coaching business?
I got started because how could I say that? I got started as at a partner, and I was still finding myself.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And in that partnership, um, it was meant to happen because I needed to see what not to do, who
Mm-hmm.
not to connect to,
Yeah.
Mhm.
um, where not to go, what businesses not to associate. So it was kind of like a playing ground with the partner
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
led me to that. We um, collaborated in helping people and coaching, but God was saying, I want you to do this with just me. And
Mhm.
so he let me do the partnership to see that you don't need the partnership, you just need
Mm.
me. And that in itself was deep because I learned more of me and who I really needed and who to connect to and not connect to. And that showed me where my heart posture was, for people and where the I won't bash her because I don't do that, but it showed me where hers or where a person's could not be. I'll
Mhm.
I'll, I'll make it singular.
Mhm.
Um, and so yeah, me starting coaching was knowing that I wanted to help people.
Mhm.
I wanted to change their lives,
Mhm.
that God wants a lot of us
Right.
to
Right.
build
Mhm.
our own platforms so
Yeah.
that we don't have to reach out to others that are not going to help us. We
Mhm.
already have built that lane, our own lane ourselves.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of reason why I coaching are things that I didn't get, things that I didn't have, things that I wish someone came to my younger me and said, "Girl, you can do this. Do it scared." Girl,
Mm.
don't matter if you fall, you can still get back up and keep on running. You're gonna get bruises in this game. That's what's gonna give you that tough skin. That's what's gonna prepare you for the field that you're in is falling down.
Mhm.
Prepares you. That's a part of the journey. And so
Absolutely.
a lot of my journey to coaching was just fulfilling the needs that I didn't have for others. And knowing that I wanted us to be stronger. I wanted us to have our own platforms to be able to be the bank, to be able to get
Mhm.
up and say, I don't need to go get a loan. I don't need to go
Right.
hire five different people for this because I've gone to school for it. I've educated myself. I've learned how to flip my money. I've learned how to make funnels. I've learned how to invest. All these different things come along with the business coaching. A lot of people who business coach are very one sided. They help you start the business and that's it. This is not that. This is you digging deeper. This is you getting to know you better from you and from
Mhm.
your business side because that's
Mhm.
important also. A lot you have different facets and sides to you. But what about the business side? What about the you? How are we combining the two? Because it's important. Because you need to know where to break off the other one. You need to know
Mhm.
where to put that business hat down and have a good time. You need to know when to pick that back up.
Mhm.
So it's important to have that balance and that leverage of being healed and forgiving, knowing when to put things down, knowing when to delegate, knowing when to appropriately, you know, pull yourself out and say, okay, I need a week.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
I need a couple hours. That's where that balance comes in of being healed and having forgiveness, knowing how to forgive yourself in the same way, because you might make mistakes. And if you can't forgive yourself, then you won't feel that you're worthy.
Ooh.
And so it all, forgiveness, knowing you, that all ties into business and, you know, having any
Yeah.
kind of success in that.
Yeah. You hit some really major points for
And out
real.
the park. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
okay.
I saw myself in that whole thing. You know.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
when we first came on and you asked what's been better for you, and you said I could just unpack that. I heard because you're built for it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm.
You
Okay.
were specifically built for this. And
Mhm.
so if
Mhm.
you ever have a moment where you're feeling like I can't do this or how am I going to pull myself up today, it's already in you, girl. You
Yeah.
were made for
Mm.
this.
Oh,
This
I
is your
love it.
this yeah, this is your thing. Yeah.
That's what's up.
I love
Mhm.
it.
Sylvia, I want you to jump in because I would take
I know.
and, and run in, have
Just
ask all these questions.
go. Well, go ahead. No, go ahead. Take
Okay.
take the lead.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So you mentioned you had a partner, and it was almost like a playing ground for you to find out what you needed to do, what not to
Yes.
do in this
Yes.
particular field.
Mhm.
How did you know that, or did you like know? I'm gonna just see. You know what I'm saying? Or did you
I
found
was
out
I was
as
totally blind.
okay?
Totally
Really,
blind.
like there was no feeling of something's not
No, no.
right.
No, I mean going in, starting the
Mhm.
partnership, I didn't know that
Mhm.
this wasn't going to be one. If it
Right.
was,
Oh, okay.
you know what I mean?
Right.
And then going into it, yeah, there were red flags, there were black flags, burning flags.
Oh
Like
shit.
it was planes crashing, girl.
Oh
Right.
damn.
Oh
Damn.
Lord.
One of the biggest signs was don't ever have a partner that don't feel they have nothing to lose.
Ooh.
Oh.
It's
Don't
frowned upon
ever
that, my dear. Come on.
don't ever go into a partnership with someone who's like, you know what? First of all, she had mommy and daddy's money. So she really didn't feel like
Mm,
she had nothing to lose. She had like
mm,
she felt like she could just go to somebody and tap in
mm-hmm,
financially that way, you know.
mm-hmm,
Um, she didn't really know that this was her niche. She was still finding herself, you know. So
mm,
she wasn't 100% about, do I want to be in this business in particular, you
right.
know.
Oh, okay.
So it's very imperative that you don't ever be in a partnership with someone who feels like, well, I don't have that much to lose.
Mm-hmm,
Mm,
Very
mm-hmm.
important.
So
okay.
what it sounds
Oh,
okay. Oh,
go ahead.
go ahead. Go.
I was gonna say, so does that mean like your end goal isn't gonna be the same either? Like
Right.
if your goal is I don't have an endless pot of money, I'm trying to get to maybe not necessarily an
Absolutely.
endless pot of money, but I'm trying to get to this stability level that you're already accessing or tapping into versus I already have everything. It's
Right.
why see the world if you have the beach? Like it's the same.
Mm-hmm,
Right.
mm-hmm,
Okay.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that
Sound like
makes
you saying I can take this or leave this.
yeah. Like
Right.
I don't
Right.
care if
Right.
this
Right.
happens. I don't
Don't
care
feel
if
like
it
you're not.
works.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, it don't
Mhm.
fucking matter if it works or not because
Right.
I'm
Right.
still I'm
I'm
gonna have
good.
a cushion. I'm gonna have a parachute. I'm gonna have somebody that's always gonna help me do the next thing anyway.
There's a blanket there for me,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
Which
yeah.
I'm trying to build a blanket while
right, right.
she's
And
already has
so right there when you mentioned there was plane crashing and everything was burning up and you saw the red flags times two, that lets you know in any relationship, even a partnership with a, a business partner, you need to be aligned. That's what you're
one.
saying.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You need to have
Absolutely.
some alignment with each other because if you don't, um, the company is not going to succeed. The relationship is not going to succeed. And that's in the relationship with your person, like your
Mhm.
partner for life,
Mhm. Mhm.
a partner in business. They go hand in hand.
Mhm.
Yes.
And so if one is doing some shady shit, why are
Mhm.
you in partnership with this person if that's
Okay.
not who you are? Because eventually you're going to do some shady shit.
Right.
Right. Right. Birds of a
So,
feather flock together. Yeah.
yes. So, how did
Yeah.
that relationship end? How did that partnership come to a close?
Hmm. Another level of finding myself is how it ended. Me stop people pleasing. That's
Girl.
how it
Okay.
ended.
Mm hmm.
Me
Mm hmm.
setting boundaries with
Mm hmm.
myself was how it
Mm hmm.
ended. Me
Mm hmm.
saying it's okay to grow apart.
Yeah.
Mm,
There's so many people who hold on to
Mm-hmm.
things because they've grown apart, they see the growing
Mm-hmm.
apart, and
Mm-hmm.
instead of transitioning, they're trying to people please and hold on to that when it's not working.
Mm. Oh.
You know, so that is how if you were looking for a specific situation, this, the specific situation was I'm a writer, so I also help people do business plans and if you're trying to put a book together, we can do that too.
mhm,
So um we were looking for insurance for our company, and the levels of what we wanted was two vastly different things. I was looking at maybe 100K,
Mm-hmm.
for the year,
mhm,
maybe insuring children. Maybe someone wants to write about children, or they're trying to put things together, which is a whole nother level of
Mm-hmm.
insurance when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
kids. But she was looking at like 1 million for the year, and it was like, we're not even in that bracket yet, honey. We
Mm-hmm.
haven't made that kind of money yet. We're not
Mm-hmm.
on that level, and so it was like financially we couldn't agree as far as insurance. Let's say I wanted to travel to Italy. She wanted to go to New York. It was kind of like we were just not
Mm-hmm.
on the same levels. And it was like, let's just stop trying to please each other and the
mhm,
world and make this look good. Let's actually have an impact. And because we're not even impacting each other on this level,
Mm-hmm.
we can't impact anybody else.
Right.
right. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. How do you day to day, like, what does your operation look like in terms of, okay, I want to do this thing? How do you help that person in the process? They have a business idea, they have no idea how to get it started,
Hmm.
or oh, let's take them back. They have a business, it's not
Hmm.
succeeding.
Okay.
Is there are you helping those two different kinds of people two different ways, or is it the same kind of process?
So the process is spiritual and the
Mhm.
process is natural. It's both.
Okay.
So I'm going to tap in and I'm going to go into prayer and I'm going to ask God, where is this person at? What season are they in? Because it is so important to know what season you're in. You might be in a season where you don't need to be in business. You might need
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
to be in a season where you need to dig deeper and find out who you are and do that inner core work. And we're going to do that inner core work. I'm not saying put the business on the shelf, but let's get that done. Let's find out what season you're in, where you are, what's going on, what's in your head. Have you wrapped your head around business yet? Or
Mm-hmm.
is this something that just looks good to you and you jumped in? You know, is this the niche you're called to, or are you trying to follow what everybody else is doing? Let's do that because you can't be impactful to the world. You can't be impactful to clients if you don't even know what it is specifically you're called to. Like Lori is called to speaking on lines and having platforms and doing podcasts and reaching out to women who are being hurt and who are in their closet crying and who are saying, I don't think this relationship is going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I can hear that she's called to women for such a time as this to help them heal in her own way just by being herself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she don't need a script, she don't need a business plan for this. This is just things that God has put in her to help other people unpack what they're going through. And so that's part of the process is spiritual, me going to God, figuring out, God, what are you saying right for them right now? What season are they in right now? What is hurting them? Where are they bleeding at? Where are their wounds? So that I can tap into helping them heal those wounds so that they can tap in and help others. And then there's also the natural side. Let's get together a business plan. Are you going to
Mhm.
LLC? Are you going to S Corp? Um, are you going to invest? What is it specifically that once we get that, what you're doing? Like, okay, you're going to flip houses. Okay, well, how are you going to do that? How are you going to get your first house?
Mm.
Let's sit down and write out a financial breakdown. So there's the business side. I have a degree in and marketing. So there's a business side where we break everything down, and then there's also the spiritual side. And in life, that's how it has to work for you. If you're not an entrepreneur, if you're a mom,
Wow.
you need
Wow.
to have both of those sides. If you're a
Okay.
That's
podcaster, you need to have both of those sides. You need to be tapped in and on the level spiritually, even if it's grace before your food, even if it's a prayer before bed, even if it's before you go into this store, God, don't let me spend all this money. Because you know how I am when I get into Target. Lord, help me not bust Target
oh
wide open when I get in here because I know I need to save my money.
wow.
It needs to
That
be a level spiritually somewhere where you stop at
yeah.
and meet God there
Right.
That is
before you do what you're
huge,
going to do.
man. That's huge, Coach Brown. Because I've never heard anybody speak from that perspective. I believe that, but I never thought about it like you're saying it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so what it
Hmm.
sounds like you're saying is, listen, you are a spiritual being in a human body.
You
And
got
you
it.
better come correct from the standpoint of understanding that whatever you do, you got to walk into everything that you're doing, knowing that you're spiritual and human at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, how did you, and not so much that partner, but how did you get to this place where you're helping people? Because that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
You're a life coach in a sense. Like you're a business coach,
Hmm.
but you're a
Yeah.
life coach. You're helping people get their life.
Hmm.
Really. And so, and do people know this? So there's a couple of questions. How did you get here? And do people who come to you, do they know that you're a person who's going to tap into them spiritually?
So number one, I got here, like I said before, but for wanting to help other people and give them what I didn't have. But spiritually,
Okay.
I said some dangerous things. There are prayers that
Mm,
people think they're just praying something, they're just crying, they're just sliding down the wall, and they don't actually know that it's a dangerous prayer. And so
mm.
my prayer was, God, where have I gone wrong?
Oh.
And where have I gone wrong? And who is around me? That was the prayer. And that is dangerous.
Girl.
I dare
Oh,
you to
wait.
say it. I do.
I
I
ain't
dare you to
saying
say it.
that.
Yes.
There's
What?
a
There,
house rule at my house. You don't ask shit that you're not ready for, like that you don't want to do.
no, 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 no.
So
No one's ready for that prayer. No one's
Right.
ready for that
yeah.
prayer.
No. Right.
So
Right.
that's
So,
No
what
one
did
is.
what did you find out when you
So,
what made you even ask
so
that prayer?
because I needed to know, and I didn't know
Okay.
what came with it. There there are a
Whew.
lot of roads there are a lot of roads in life you're gonna go down
Yeah.
that you're not gonna know what's ahead. And God is not gonna tell you you're gonna fall on your face 12 times because you're not gonna
Mm.
go down that road.
Mm.
Right.
And he needs you to fall so that you'll be
Mm.
strong enough for where he's
Mm-hmm.
taking you to.
Right.
He
Right.
can't put
Right.
you
Right.
in a room with he can't put you in a room with sharks if you don't know what they look like.
Mm.
You're gonna get eaten up and spit it back
Girl.
out.
Ooh.
You better come on with this whole
So
message this morning.
so a part of that was that prayer, and God showed me who I needed to detach from. As soon as people started falling off, please, if you guys who are listening, when people start falling out of your life, let them go. Don't hold on
Don't
to
be trying
nobody.
to reach back. Yes. Yes.
Don't try to spin the block. Let them go. Okay?
Mm.
But when people start falling off, let them go. And so that was part of it. The other part is where have I gone wrong? And God showed me people pleasing, not setting boundaries, not detaching yourself from relationships that have grown their course, not realizing people that were not in in your life for a lifetime. They're just there for a season,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
closing that cycle out. Okay, that's where it helped me start spiritually. I'm a church girl, but there was a foundation in the church, no disrespect to the church, that I wasn't given. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
think, oh, well, you were
Mm-hmm.
raised in the church. That's a good thing. Not always. I was molested in the church as well. So
Mm.
Right.
it's not always this picture perfect thing because you were raised in the church. And that's still no disrespect to them. I was given the foundation that I was needed for that time. But I
Right.
needed to go deeper with God because it's all about personal relationship. It's not about religion. And I needed to learn that. That was where I learned the spiritual side for myself. That it's not about religion. You can have church in your house with your own Bible, with
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Jakes on in front of you.
Say that one more
Okay? You
time.
don't I said you can have church in your house with
Mm-hmm.
a Bible with Sarah Jakes on in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
The church is not the building, the church is in you. You're the church. The
Girl.
church is in your heart. So I had to figure that out to tap in spiritually. That was the spiritual side for me. And that God was going to do it. God was going to build me. And
Yeah.
it's all you should be connected to leadership, but that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Narcissistic spiritual leaders and
Mm-hmm.
my
We have
goodness.
had
But
this conversation. We have already had this conversation. But I
I'm
would love to keep it going
girl, I want to
because,
bring you back
yeah,
talk
yeah, I was
about
about to say,
that.
come back so we can have that conversation
yeah,
because,
we'll definitely do that because
yeah.
I wanted to do podcasts about that and people are scared to touch it.
Oh,
And
no, come
so
on.
Oh, none,
I'm ready.
girl.
I've talked to
Bring
other
it.
people,
Bring it.
podcast, yeah, leaders, and they're like, I want to be sensitive, and I'm like, oh, well, then I don't know if you're a
No.
podcaster.
Mm-mm.
Then this might not be for you.
Mm-mm.
But
Mm-mm.
yeah, that's how I tapped in spiritually to that side of coaching was
Mm-hmm.
knowing to dig deeper, knowing what level I need to be on, knowing how to get to my source, and it wasn't through a man in a pulpit first. It was through a
Nice.
personal relationship with God first.
Right.
And so that's how I tapped in, saying that prayer. God showing me and showing up, and me hearing Him, audibly hearing Him say, daughter, this is who you're not supposed to be attached to. This is
Mm-hmm.
what's keeping you back.
Mm-hmm.
There are things deeper in your family that you need to tap into. People are sweeping molestation under the rug in your family. People are sweeping that they're into voodoo under the rug in your family. Because a lot of our families that have been in the bayous and in the islands, they have all kinds of things tied to it, and we're having a blind eye to it and not looking into it and wondering why mama got a broom over her doorway, or why mama got a brick wrapped in foil under the bed, and we're just like, mama's crazy. No, what is mama really into?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Tap into that because you could have some
Mm-hmm.
soul ties attached to you. You
Mm-hmm.
could have some generational curses attached to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
absolutely important to stop sweeping things under the rug.
Right.
Oftentimes in the
Yeah.
African American community, we're getting married and jumping the broom. Why are we jumping over a broom? What does that
Mm.
even mean? What does that symbolize?
Mm-hmm. Understanding our
You know,
history would be more
Mm-hmm.
important.
absolutely.
I'm
And,
I'm just gonna say real quick. I was about to jump off a broom, and I need to do some research.
well, also, too, understanding that that one religion that was put upon us isn't the end all be all, also, I
Mm-hmm.
feel
Mm-hmm.
like. And,
Mm-hmm.
casting that aside as if that's not, has no historical context or that that isn't all that we had
Mm,
besides this Christian
right,
Bible. Like
right,
there was
Mhm.
right,
more
right.
to us than these
Mhm.
things.
Mhm.
I always feel like people do these things because it's trendy and you don't have any context. You don't have any
Mhm.
Mhm,
idea of like this is what was put upon us.
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, especially to the people who are like, well, this is evil and that's evil. Well, it's evil to you. It's not
Mhm.
evil to these people
Mhm.
because
Right.
historically this, and this.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm,
think too, there's such a disconnect
Mhm.
between being black in America and being part of the diaspora,
Mhm. Mhm.
being
mhm.
part of the global majority, not
Mhm.
understanding
Right.
that there are more of us outside of this space and there are
Mhm.
more of us experiencing this thin tied line to each of us, but we are so disconnected from it because we only have this bubble that we've been in. And
Mhm.
we don't
Right.
realize there's more to us.
Mhm.
There's more that we could be experiencing, but we're so shut off from
Absolutely.
everything and we keep
Mhm.
choosing to be shut off from everything.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I could go on
Yeah.
and on and on and on and
Mhm.
on for that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, go
And
ahead,
what you're
Lori. And
saying,
go ahead.
what you're saying is really living.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Mhm.
Finding out your history and
Mhm.
finding
Yeah.
and stepping outside of that bubble is really living. You're not
No,
Right.
really living if you're inside of a bubble and you don't even know your history or heritage.
no, no.
You
Absolutely.
just
And that's
merely
Absolutely.
what I
exist.
do. And that's what I do. I do genealogical research. So I'm always
Okay.
constantly looking into what has happened before. How do we not
Mm,
repeat the mistakes of before? How do
Mhm.
we progress from these things?
Mhm.
Or
mm,
understanding that like people went through stuff before and people are
mm,
going through things now that we could have fixed. They didn't have to
right.
keep going through those things. They didn't have to lose what they
Mm,
lost, but we
yeah.
haven't learned from them because people don't know. You
Right.
literally
Right.
don't know what you don't know. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
you're
Yeah.
right. Like, tapping into that. I had a conversation with someone a while ago, and they were like, "Oh, I eat hog maws and I eat chitlins," and I was like, "Ew," and they were like,
Mm-hmm.
"Well, you don't know good eating. That's not good eating.
Mm,
That's what they had to eat.
Yeah.
right.
Those are the scraps that they had to have. I'm not disrespecting nobody if you do like chitlins. That's your thing. Okay,
And hog mouse
but
and all that stuff.
yeah, I don't want anything that smells like that. What's my problem? Um, before I ate it,
Oh my
right?
God.
And so he was like, he felt disrespected. He was like, "What you mean? Like, that's good eating." And I'm like, "No, it's not, boo boo. That's what our people had to have. They
Mhm.
couldn't have the better part of the ham. They couldn't have the top select of the roast. They had to have the scraps. They had to make do. And so, how
Mhm.
are you eating? Still eating make do? That is
Right.
such
Mm,
on another mental level of you eating make do.
Yeah. Yeah.
mm,
I
Like
think
that's
on a
your
right, right. I think in a different episode we can talk about helping someone get from here to there because you saying that to him, yeah, it was offensive because he couldn't understand where you were coming from, right? And
mm-hmm.
so he wasn't there. Now, what you're saying is not that it wasn't true. He doesn't need
right.
that. It is unhealthy, right? But how can you teach a person, right,
Mhm.
who's open? How do you get them to be open enough to
There's
Right.
the key.
accept another
Mhm.
way? You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you, when you spoke about the spiritual aspect of you in this business coach thing that's was there for you, right? Like,
Mhm.
how did you? Was it spiritual initially, or was it business initially? Like, or
It
was it
was
a
spiritual
gradual
initially.
thing? Okay.
It was
Spiritual
spiritual
connection. Okay.
initially.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
That's where everything
so,
starts. Mhm.
okay, cool. That's huge. That is huge. And when
Mhm.
people come to you, do they automatically know? Like, do you advertise both, or how do you tap into your community or your type of clientele? How do you tap
I
into it?
advertise both that I'm a prophetic business coach. So I audibly hear from God. I have dreams. I have visions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I absolutely advertise that
Mm-hmm.
that's who I am. Um, that this is going to be a spiritual journey.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to it really wouldn't matter how specific I was in advertising because you're not ready for that first intake. A
Mhm.
lot of people
Mhm.
Okay.
think they are,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
they're like, "Whoa,
I
I
got
gotta
you.
do that. I gotta stop doing this. I gotta stop smoking. I gotta stop doing." And they don't know that you're gonna tap in to on that level. They're thinking it's gonna be such on the surface because a lot of people
Mhm.
deal with things on the surface. They don't go deeper, and that's what they're so used
Mhm.
to. They're
Mhm.
not used
Mhm.
to people actually saying, "Let's dig into you."
Mhm.
Because this is why we're here. They're thinking, oh, you're gonna sit there, you're gonna have a book and a pen, and we're gonna say, okay, well, what business would you like to do? Okay, and how far would you like to go with that? Okay, and let's fill out these
Like
forms.
it's just
Right.
No,
ticking off each box.
yeah, like no, girl, why don't you service men? Why only do you just help women? Oh,
Mm.
you have daddy issues. Okay. Well, let's dig into
Mercy.
that because now you're leaving money on the table because you won't service men in your coaching business. Oh, I only help women. I'm here for the women, woman power. Meanwhile, you have leadership issues and daddy issues, and we
Mm.
need to dig into that so that you stop leaving money on the table.
Girl, that's deep. So now,
Go ahead.
have you always been prophetic? Like, or when did you know that you? I call it intuition. Like you have this
Okay.
intuition, you have this understanding, you have this connection. Like when did you know that you had this connection with your higher power?
Well, for me, first, I wouldn't want to call it an intuition. I respect what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
but I I feel like I and other people who are prophetic carry so much more weight, and we have to recognize our weight. I think
Mm-hmm.
intuition
Mm.
is something a lot of people have and they just don't tap in, but being
Mm-hmm.
prophetic is not what everyone has. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think all of us as women need to tap into our power and who we really are, our blessings, our talents and what we're called to. And so
Mm-hmm.
first I would say let's tap into how big we are. I'm a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of just saying calling it an intuition, let's tap
Okay.
into how big we really are.
Nice.
Um, but for me, as a child, I had dreams, and I would say things, and they would happen, and my family kind of would be like spooked about it. Um, and so it was just little tidbits, little tidbits. But I would say around the age of 16, I had a dream about someone passing away, how they were gonna pass away, how they looked, and then maybe a week later, all those things happened. And
Oh.
so
Mm.
I realized that at that age, this is something else. This is not just a dream. This is not something, and there's no one to coach me or mentor me or to embrace that side. So the journey for a little while was alone, you
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
know. And in some aspects, God wanted it that way because He needed that part of me to be protected. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people have power and they see that you have a gift and they misplace and misuse that power,
Mm-hmm.
um, and they use it the wrong way. So I believe that that happened for a reason in
Mm-hmm.
God's way of protecting me. It wasn't rejection that I didn't have people there, it was protection. And so,
Mm-hmm.
going on further in my 20s is where I really tapped in to the spiritual side of being prophetic and actually speaking into other people's lives, having the confidence to do it, and just being able to let God take over sometimes. Total surrender is a big part of walking in that calling, is knowing that it's not just you. Like you said before, you're a spiritual being having a human being experience. And if that's the case, and you were made by someone else, you don't believe you came from a monkey or there was a big bang, you actually have creator, God as your creator, then you should be tapping into your source, that creator. Uh, who made
That's
you, who called
huge.
you, you
That's
know.
huge. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, if you have a question, because I have a question, I just want to check in with you.
Go ahead.
When
I'm
Mhm.
I hear
processing.
right.
You know my
When,
face enough long enough to know that I'm like,
yeah,
Mhm.
you pull it all in. When you were 16 and you had that premonition, I guess, did you share that with anybody?
No.
Okay, you
oh,
didn't.
okay.
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 Mm-mm.
And so some people would call your ability like psychic ability.
Or a medium. I was
I mean,
just okay, so I was
so
thinking the same
No,
thing.
what would you say
I
it is?
wouldn't.
Okay.
I would say that my gift came from a certain place. a certain
Mhm.
space, and that is
Mhm.
the name that it is called is prophets. From
Mhm.
my beliefs, from the Bible, that is
Mhm.
what that is called. A medium and a madam, they tap into different spiritual realms. And so,
Mm.
Okay.
as a medium and as a madam, you are not always getting your source from one source.
Mm.
You can get as a medium and a madam, you can get information from a demon. You can get
Right.
information from other spiritual realms. Your source is not one source. Being a
Mhm.
prophet, your source is God.
Mhm.
Being a
How do
medium
you?
and being a
Mm. Go ahead. Go ahead.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
You said being a medium and being a madam.
Being a medium and being a madam is someone who will put their gift on a certain platform and they will
Mm-hmm.
pimp out that gift instead of using it the correct way, finding out where that source came from, what it is they're called to, and using it in the proper venue. They will pimp that out. They will peanut that talent, that gift that God gave them. And so it's misused. The different
Mm.
sources start to come in. Different spiritual realms and windows are now being opened. You're
Mm.
opening doors that you don't know what's behind that door now
Mhm.
because of what all because of the title you're giving yourself, all because of the places you're putting yourself in. It's
I see.
dangerous to have a gift and to not have the proper title or the proper attachments of who and what you're attaching and tapping into.
Nice.
Do you? Okay.
And there's a
Um.
level of respect also. There's also
Okay.
a level of respect. When you're a prophet, I need to be called to your life to speak into it.
Mhm.
Okay.
And it's dangerous not to know that I'm not close to you or not, and I'm just blabbing of what
Mhm.
I think I hear. Now I'm being
Mhm.
Okay.
solely soulish and selfish. As a
Mm.
medium, you can go to them and say, "Okay, so what is this now? What is that now?" And they start tapping into all kind of these different things and different realms and giving you this information. Where is that information coming from? What door do we just open, sis?
Mhm.
Mm.
What are you really tapping into? And also, you're saying that you can just get information at any time, any place. How? Why?
Mm.
If
I have
you're
so
really
many
going to dig in on
questions.
a, if you're really going to dig in on a spiritual level at any aspect, whatever you're calling yourself, whatever level you're on, there are spiritual laws and rules and regulations.
Mm.
Whatever you're going to call yourself, wherever you are,
Mhm.
you are to follow their rules or you are going into a space that is dangerous. And
Mm.
these spiritual streets are a whole nother level.
I
You
hear
will get
you.
yourself hurt, you can get
Mhm.
yourself stuck and get yourself in some trouble if you don't know spiritual law, you don't know who you really are and who you're called to or what doors you're tapping into.
Mm. How do you know that your source is God, right? Like how
Okay. I
did
was
you
going
know
there.
that for a certainty? Like that the fact that you're prophetic and you have that particular source and that's the one source. How do you know that your one source is the source of all
Because that's who
creation?
I go to. I know
Okay.
that because that's who only go to. I only go
Mhm.
to God. I'm not tapping into any other source to go to.
Mhm. Mhm.
I audibly hear from God.
Okay.
And so he's
Okay.
speaking to me. I've had situations where I've almost died and I knew it was God saving me. And he
Mm.
was saving me for a reason because of what he's calling me to.
Mhm.
How how do you how do you discern between these people are maybe tapping into demons and these people are tapping into the source or the higher power?
It's
How do you
No.
know?
Yeah.
it's all a discernment.
Okay.
Okay.
It's all a discernment. It's a spiritual feeling, it's a discernment, it's a knowing. It's when you can tap in to what God is doing and what he's saying, he is your answer. You are surrendering to him.
Mhm.
And so he's not leaving you blind in any space. So for
Okay.
the person who's a prophet, if you're asking me from that level, if the person who's a prophet is in a space where someone is a medium or a madam or calling themselves a psychic, you're going to hear that. God is going to let you know this person is not tapping into me. they're not
Mm-hmm.
tapping into God, that He's going to let you know, and you're going to feel it. It's going to feel evil. It's going to feel eerie. It's going to feel demonic. Demonic and eerie and evil has a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it in a person's face sometimes. It looks like death.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear it in the way they talk, in the verbiage that they use, that
Mm-hmm.
they're tapping into something else and that they're okay with it. So it's all about
Mm-hmm.
having a discerning ear, being tapped in yourself spiritually, so you're hearing what God is telling you in that space and
Mm-hmm.
feeling it. Sometimes people will say it's a gut feeling if you're not prophetic and you're on the level where you're spiritually a baby and you're trying to tap into what God is doing in your life at that time and into God as your source. It's not going to be easy. You can be in a room with a witch and not know it, but it takes being there. It takes or we'll come back out. I see your face. We'll stick with medium and
No,
Madam.
I,
Okay.
no, I,
No,
that.
keep
Let me
going.
tell you, you better, girl. I'm just shocked because I'm like, because, and the reason why I'm even like that face you got is because as a therapist, I see clients all the time, and my
Mhm.
main clientele are couples. So, but
Okay.
you don't know, and I'm thinking back to a time when I had an individual come into my office, and I was spooked the fuck out. I was spooked out, and it
Mm-hmm.
and so I get what you're saying. So when you said you can be in the company of a witch, that it is scary, but at the same time, when you
You need
also
to know who
know,
you're.
right, right, but sometimes you don't is what I'm saying.
Mhm.
See,
Okay.
and my face is, I'm thinking about religion, and I'm thinking about false prophets, and I'm thinking about
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
people who might all actually have the same gifts, the same connections, but how they've used it has been so
Mhm.
awful. So that's why
Mhm.
I'm like, hmm, I have a whole bunch of other questions running through my mind, but I'm also looking at the time. So
Mhm.
I'm like, we need like 5 more episodes. because because I'm just thinking of all these different things that where this could go and other conversations that need to be had. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, we're just running out of time. But it's
Yeah.
tell the people where they can find you, how they can tap into you, about your services, and just if they want to connect with you to see like, is this what's where they are being led to?
Mhm. 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 So you can find me on Instagram. I am at Coach Brown. I am also at Boss Babes Healing. That's a podcast that I host myself. So you can find me there, Boss Babes Healing. You can find
Nice.
me at arlethabrown.podia.com. That's my website. Yeah, and I'm on it, and I'm on TikTok also, trying to spread myself out at New Oil
Okay.
Publishing. That's the name of my company, is New Oil Publishing.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll be connecting on TikTok for sure. Well,
Yes.
uh, we are going to wrap this up. Lori, go ahead with these takeaways for today, and then we are going to get
Whew.
out of here.
Okay. So to me, what I'm taking away is, child, you don't know what you don't know until you know it. Like
Yeah.
I had an idea about what we were going to be talking about, but I had no
This
idea
isn't,
what we were
no.
like this has been
That
very
happens a lot.
powerful
Yeah.
for me. So I'm taking away all this information that you provided, and at the same time I'm like, I'm gonna have to hit you up behind, like going to one of your sources, and because it, to me, I realize that there's so much that we don't know and that we can learn. So that's what I'm taking away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. For me, it's that there are multiple paths to the same source.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yep. That we all come from different places, have different experiences, but we can all tap into and go back to that same source in some way, shape, or
Absolutely.
form.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't have to necessarily look the same for everyone, but it has to get to the same spot.
Right. That's huge.
So,
Exactly. Yeah.
What are you taking away, Arletha?
I'm taking away that you guys are two beautiful ladies. I'm taking away that you guys are going to do some big things, that they're not ready for you. I'm taking away that you guys are one and the same like me. You're podcasters, but you do so much deeper on so many other levels. Having a background in psychology, having a background in digging into people's history is deep. That's a
Mm,
whole nother level. And so, in the same pocket, we're all this. We are a much alike of the three of us,
Mm-hmm.
because we have a surface platform, but then there's this digger, this deeper rooted core that we all
Mm-hmm.
have that we
Mm-hmm.
pull from that helps us on this platform. And so, I'm pulling away to don't just look at people on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
There's a
mm,
deeper level.
That's
yeah,
awesome. Thank you.
cool.
Thank you.
Well, if you haven't already, like, share, subscribe, do something with this episode and all the others. Please leave us a positive review so that way people can find us. And yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for having me.
That's it for this week's show. I'm Lori Scott.
And I'm Sylvia Johnson, and you've been listening to What's Been Better.
A big thank you to Lagon Music Inc. for providing our music. This show is edited and produced by us with a little help from our family and friends. We love you all.
We want to hear what's been better for you. To be a guest on the show, send us an email to questions@whatsbeenbetter.com. Or you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at What's Been Better Podcast.
Thanks for listening.